Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing good today. So I apologize for the delay. It was a long delay today. I realized that last week this mic wasn't actually working. It was my camera. And so if you noticed, if I walked away and was talking, it didn't sound like I was mic'd up, and I wasn't. So I don't know what's going on. I had to reconfigure things, but we got it set up and I got the right mic, and that'll work because I'm going to be over at the lathe, and if I didn't have a mic today, it would have been a problem. So anyway, and then I realized I forgot to do the barrel trimming on on the blank. So anyway, let me go grab the blanks from last week. They turned out really cool looking, I think. I'm kind of excited, I'm not going to lie. So, Metall Flake. Kind of like glitter, honestly, but a little bit different than your typical glitters. So, look at these guys. These are the Iron Man. We were going for like an Iron Man look. I think that, I mean, we'll have to see. I went for blobby, so no swirling or anything, and I was really trying to kind of like stack the colors. That's kind of how his suit looks. So, you know, you can not only change colors and things, but you can change the way you do things to kind of get a little bit of a different look. Now, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but now check these guys out. Oh, man. We got brown, silver, teal, and purple. And what's really interesting about these, I really like these, and I cannot wait to dive into these things. So I was telling you guys last week that there's different sizes of the particles, and this blank is extremely apparent. This is really going to show us a good sample of what to expect with the different sizes. So in this one, we got the purple is the smallest particle. It's a 0.004, which and we kind of had a discussion in the comments of last week's stream, and they were saying, I don't know who it was, I can't remember, but they said that it was actually, I was saying I'm not sure what measurement it is, and they were saying inches. Technically, I actually think it's microns in these, but some of them may be based on inches or something, and so that just be aware of that. There may be slight differences in what the company is saying. But either way, so I think these are 0.004 micron is the purple, and then you've got, I gotta actually look this up. Pretty sure the teal, yep, teal and the brown. Let's see here. Hold on a minute. Yeah, teal and brown were 0.008, so like you're kind of in the middle size particle, and then the silver was 0.015. Let me try and get, it's hard, it's not loving trying to get, what is that? Come on, there we go. Focus. Yeah, so the silver's the big particles. They're real chunky. So this is going to be a really cool blank. So what I got here, I've got two blanks, and you can see that this one seems really gigantic. So we're going to be making a Stark pen kit out of the peacock looking one. And that's a closed end pen. So what I did was, and I didn't think about this. I was really messing around with other stuff before the stream, didn't think about these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chuck this up in the collet chuck and then just trim this off, because you can't really, maybe I could barrel trim it with like a barrel trimmer. That might work, but I don't know if the tube is technically deep enough. So on this, and I don't even think you can buy these kits anymore. I think they might be discontinued, but what ends up happening is there's a little bauble, a little doodad that I'm grabbing a tube real quick to kind of sort of explain what I had to do for this. I'm just going to grab oh, come on, give me a tube. All right, so to prep this blank, you have to press in a little metal disc into one end of your tube, and then what you do is you just drill not a non-through hole, so I just drilled into this blank, however long, so long, and left the rest of it, intact. And then you when you glue in the tube, you just put in the part with the metal end, you put that down into the bottom. And that's going to give you a little bit more stability, I guess. I don't fully understand exactly if that's even necessary. it's closing off the hole so you don't have a bunch of glue in there, I guess. But when I mount this, I'm only going to be able to get a bushing in one side, and then I'm going to use this side with my live center. So you'll see what's going on with that later, but it's a slightly different kit. And then, you know, you're going to actually turn off, you're going to have blank. You're not going to press apart in the back. It's like the blank itself. So closed end pen. And then this one, I'm going to go for a tiny giant. So you can see the tube is pretty small on these tiny giants. So you get a lot of blank left over, a lot of material left for the kit. So that should be kind of fun. And I'm going with a gold. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, not a tiny giant. It's a Glacia. I was debating. I didn't have a gold tiny giant, I don't think. So, and again, this is another kit that I don't think you can find. It's like a Sierra kind of thing, but the tube is a little bit smaller. So I decided to go with gold. It's not exactly a match for the gold, like antique gold probably would have been a better choice if I would have had one, but whatever. That's what I had. And then, like I said, the Stark pen kit, and I got this at Turner's, but they don't carry them anymore. All you do is you press in the one side, and it's I think it's magnetic. No, it's not. It's a screw-on, but it's a Parker style fill. So you just press this guy into the one side, and screws it in. Okay. And then you got a screw-on cap. So I just decided to go with silver on that one. So we'll see how this goes. It's a little bit of a different kind of turning thing, but anyway, should be pretty fun. I'm really excited to see how these metal flakes look. And like I said, there's a bunch of different colors you can get in metal flake. It's I mean, it's like glitter kind of, but it's a little bit more like standardized. Typically, most of your metal flakes, I think they come in like a kind of like a hexagon or pentagon kind of shape. And like I said, the sizes of these things, they're pretty standardized. So you can kind of mix and match and do some stuff. Honestly, I think if you're gonna like, we'll see what's going on with the Peacock one, but if you're really going for like a metal look, I would go for a really small particle and then dump a ton of it in there. I think that would have been actually a little bit better if I could have used like a 0.004, like the small one, for the Iron Man. I think that might have been a little bit cooler looking and like more metal look instead of like kind of glittery. The bigger chunks are going to be more glittery looking. It's going to be a big things glistening, where the small particles are going to be very small pinpoints. It's going to look more like a metallic paint. I think, if that makes any sense, instead of like a bass boat. like that flake look. So it should be kind of cool. Now, one thing to note, typically if you're going to load up a ton of glitter like this, or metal flake, you know, any of this kind of stuff, you're probably going to have to put on a CA finish to get it to bring out that like glitter look. Again, it's going to look dull. You can't really polish these things. And if you've got it packed, like, and we loaded these up extremely packed full of glitter stuff, metal flake. When you do that, there's a lot more of those little particles that are like basically out on the surface, and you need to put a gloss on top of it, and then it will bring it back. It's going to look terrible, you know, as you go sanding through it, and if you tried to polish it, it's going to be all dull and yucky. But once you put that gloss back on, it's going to bring back the look that we're looking for. So we'll be doing a CA finish on both of these. So scrolling up, I wanted to also thank Chris for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I saw that earlier, but I was trying to get this mic and everything to work, and get these things ready. So, oh, Jake's in the house. Yeah, happy Memorial Day weekend, guys. Thank you to everybody who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. So let's see here. I think that's about it. I don't think I see any questions. One thing, suspension of the, what did you say about the suspension, Jim? I can't remember what you mentioned. So let me, remind me what you were talking about with the suspension of the particles. One thing I did want to mention, I have a feeling. So I went for a lot. Like I went with a really high amount. So if you go back, you'll look and see how much, I don't know exactly offhand, how much. I was using a ratio of like how much resin is in the cup and how much, and I actually weighed the, the metal flake. And I'm pretty sure I did it like the same amount, regardless of the blank or which particle. I think you could really get away with a lot less than I did. I really packed it. The less you go, the more chance you're going to have like see-through areas. But I think you could, I really think you could maybe go about half as much as I did and still be okay. It's going to still give you the same look. The less glitter particles that you have in there, the more you can get away with maybe just polishing it without having to do a CA finish. The more you put in there, the more like really packed it's going to look. More like a paint job, like a bass boat paint job kind of thing. So it depends on what you're going for. You can kind of play around with that. How much you put in is going to change the look a little bit. And like I said, the transparency. There's just going to be more areas where light can go through. I didn't paint the tubes on these, and I was curious to see how opaque these guys got. Typically, I would recommend painting. In the case of the red and the gold, I wouldn't paint probably either way because I want, if you're going to see through, I'd rather just see that brass color. It's going to blend in pretty well. Unless there's very big areas where it's transparent, but I don't think that's going to be the case in these. For this one, I probably would have just gone with like black, just to kind of, it would probably blend away pretty much. You could also go with, if you have the metal, the nickel plated tubes. Let me grab one for you guys to see. There's not that many different ones of these, but it's basically like chrome looking. That would be a good one. Again, if you can kind of match at least one of the colors in your blank or come close to it, that typically will help out. If you've got a bunch of kind of darker colors, black is really the way to go. You're really not going to see that. If you got a bunch of light colors, I'd go with white. White behind a bunch of dark colors is going to stick out like a sore thumb. So unless you have white in the blank. So just a couple little notes and quick things to let you know about. So let's head over to the lathe. I gotta make sure that I got this thing working. Do I have that? I don't have the camera on. So hold on real quick. Let me. I'm a little behind today, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of messing around a little bit and talking to people. I was chatty Cathy today, but that's okay. Okay, so we got the camera on. Let's switch over and hope everything works the way it's supposed to. Turn on the right thing. There we go. Hey, look at that. I didn't even break it or anything. So let's see here. So a couple other little notes. These are obviously going to go in the Pen Blank Club box, and I've only made, 6 of each color because I wanted to see how this works. So we're going to wait to see how the turning goes and make sure everything's, the way we want them. But other than that, I'll just make some more, and I may actually play around with how much and do like a test turn kind of thing just to see if there's really a difference. Let's see here. So Glacia, shoot. Do I have the bushings for a Glacia? I don't know. Huh. I must. Oh man. I am on top of things today, guys. I don't know if you noticed or not. What is this? Grande. Huh. Coyote. Lance. Got a lot of random bushings, I'll tell you that. Alicia. I might have to kind of wing it. But if I have to wing it, if you can find, so if you don't have if you're like me and you're like, oh, I got to turn this thing, but I don't have the bushings. If you can find a bushing that is smaller than the diameter that you need and the same internal size, I really feel like I bought some of these things. Probably why I have a bunch of kits left, because I don't have the bushings. All right, well, let's try and find a match for these things. Maybe the tiny giant might work. That would be fabulous if that worked. So let's see. Oh, those are too small. Okay. Oh man, you gotta be kidding me. I picked the only kit that I don't have bushings for? Let's try these ones. Nope. Man. Maybe they're in the, hold on a minute. I got so many places where bushings could be. I really need to put these things. Ah, found them. I knew I had them. Okay. Just got to look in the right spot. All right, so one of the cool things, if you get the bushings from Turner's Warehouse, you get these little doodads that hold the bushings. Oh, actually, Brian. I bought them from Brian. And then I think I put it in my own little popper top. Okay, let's turn this thing. Look at that, they even fit. What do you know? Okay, so we're gonna start there, but I'm gonna trim up the end of this thing. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is not my preferred way of doing this. Let's get this thing to seat properly. Technically, this isn't the proper way to do this. You really want to be, so I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a bunch of blank left hanging over. And one other thing I got to do is kind of measure this to see how long this, I kind of forgot to keep that measurement. Actually, I have it on a drill bit, but so I need to trim this back and square it up. The problem is by doing it this way, if I'm referencing the outside of the blank, not the tube. And it's not really the greatest way to do this. Like I said, I could barrel trim this maybe if I have a barrel trimmer the right size, but I think the barrel trimmer would probably bury, like bottom out. I don't think it's long enough. So we're just gonna do it this way. My guess is what's gonna happen is it may be off a little bit. It may not be square because when we're turning it, we're gonna reference off the tube. So, it's not great, but hopefully it won't be too bad, basically. I don't really have a setup. I mean, I don't know of another way to do this, like I said, other than a barrel trimmer. Because no matter what, even if you use the sander or did something else, you're still going to be referencing off the outside of the blank. So one thing I could do, I guess, is try to somehow get it turned. I don't know how you'd reference it. I don't know. This is kind of the best way to do it that I know of. If anybody else has any ideas, let me know. I'm going to do this now, but if you got a better way of doing it, let the chat know. And I got to open up my thing here so I can see the chat, see what you guys are saying, since I'm messing around so much today. Jeez. Ridiculous. Okay, so let's see here. TBC. Yeah. Emil's here. How's it going? And Rita, too. Sweet. Everybody's here. Okay. So, like I said, I'm just going to trim this up. I'm going to use my square guy. And if anything, I'd rather have the angle be, I don't want it to be out. I don't want to come in and be off this way. All right, I want to have a little bit more. So I want it to be dead square. But if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to come in at an inwards angle so that there's no, so it's not weird. Otherwise I'd have a gap. If I came in this way, if I was off on the angle, this way you'd have a gap at the end. You want to be dead square, but if anything, I want to be coming in, and then you won't have a gap behind the tube. So let's turn this guy on. I need to crack my other thing here so it's not super loud. Get some glasses on and let's do this. I got a ways to go. You're gonna get glitter all over your shop when you're turning these guys. All right, I'm getting close now. I think I got it. So one thing you can do to see how square you are is just grab a ruler, hold it over it, and it looks like it's pretty good. I might have actually done exactly what I didn't want to do though a little bit. So I'm going to actually take just another quick pass. Kind of clean that up a little bit. Now that should be a little bit better. There we go. That's dead square now. So, pop this guy out. I'm going to clean up the inside there. First I'm going to blow it out a little bit. But I'm going to use my little doohickey and clean that up. And then sometimes there still might be a little bit of a little lip, where's my thing? Oh my God, what is going on today, guys? Our pets' heads are falling off. Huh. Oh man. Oh, there it is, okay. Whew. So I also have this little scrapey guy. Sometimes you got a little lip on the inside, little extra like kind of burr, let's say. So I just kind of clean that up, and then let's see here, Stark. I know I have a Stark bushing. This one actually is from Turner's Warehouse. I'm not entirely certain. There's like these two pieces, and I don't even know what the other one does. It screws onto something. Maybe, I don't know what it is. I want to look at, there is a screw-on thing. Yeah, that doesn't. Oh, I see. No, that doesn't work. I don't know. There's two parts in this bushing kit that one of them I have no clue what it does. I'm not going to use that one. But it is a standard bushing, so I'm going to have to double down and go with a TBC as well, adapter. And so I'll have this set up like this, and then I'm just going to, excuse me, I'm just going to bring up my live center onto the blank. Now, the thing is though, what I didn't do is I need to measure, I need to make sure that I give myself a little extra room beyond the tube, so I don't cut into it, because then I'm going to have a problem. It's not going to be closed end at that point. So I do remember I marked my drill bit. I'm a little bit scatterbrained lately, so so there's that. I did mark the drill bit that I used, if I can remember what drill bit I used. Oh yeah, I used the weird R bit. Is that what I used? No. Oh yeah, 10 millimeter. All right, so I got a mark on my drill bit. Good thing I did that. So I'm going to mark on my blank beyond that, even a decent amount beyond that. If you're smart, you can just, I don't have another one of these kits, so just look at the tube and then add some. But in this case, I'm just going to mark my blank down here, and that should be good. I should be fine. If you're going for a very specific length, obviously you could do that, but in my case, it's not a big deal. So let's do the Ironman blank first. Let's get a win before I try this closed end thing. One thing before I'd even take this off, I am gonna pop a 60-degree angle on the back of this guy for my live center. That'll give me a little bit more grip on the back. If you just stick the live center up to a flat blank, it just keeps drilling in, and you gotta constantly keep increasing the pressure from the tailstock, because it's just digging further and further in. But if you just use your center drill, it's got a 60-degree angle on it, and then your live center matches up to that hole a lot better. Now, you do have to account for it's got a little nub on the end, so you need to make sure you got enough blank to be doing this, with your live center. But I've got plenty, so I'm not that worried about it. Now, before I even start anything, I got that marked, but the instant that I start taking a cut, that's gone. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to actually bring up my tool here, and I'm actually just going to dig into this thing. Give myself a real mark. Okay? Then I don't have to worry about it. At least for the time being. All right, so let's put this guy away. Let's get set up here. Did I add what you cut off? No, because that doesn't matter. I trimmed this up, but that doesn't, this is the front of the blank. I wasn't cutting any of the tube off. There was extra blank material hanging over the tube. So I just cut that off. So this is correct. This is the one side of the tube. And then it goes down to there. Hopefully that made sense. But it didn't alter I didn't alter the length of the tube itself. All right, Iron Man. What do you guys think? I'm gonna get a poll going. We're gonna do a poll. Do you guys think this is gonna look like Iron Man or not? How do I do a poll? Let's see here. No, not a Q&A. That's not what I want. Start a poll. Will this look like Iron Man? Yes or no? Totally. Not even close. All right, so let me know what you guys think. Is this going to turn out okay or not? Let's see. Yeah, I'm just scatterbrained today. Oh my god. So if you use a dowel, the interior size of the tube or something, so you could reference that. Miter gauge. Yeah, you could do it that way too. And so, yeah, you could do. Yeah, you could definitely do that. Like I said, I just kind of was like, all right, here we go. Let me get this done. And then I'm like, oh, how long was that? The one thing, like I said, I couldn't even find this kit anywhere. So I don't know if there's another one called something else that is available. But I mean, this kit's not even available anymore. So it's kind of a bummer. We'll see. I'm just looking at this blank, so hold on real quick. Let me look at the kit. I haven't used this kit, so we're gonna switch to this view actually. We're gonna, there's two different sizes, it looks like, on those bushings. So I didn't even really look at this like up close. That's sticky. Let's not get these parts mixed up. Oh my goodness, I'm losing parts. Okay, so I just want to take a peek at this, and you guys can see what's going on a little bit too here. I don't know if it's going to make any difference whatsoever, but I may choose to put the bigger end on one end, or, you know, something. This thing's got some interesting stuff going on. I don't even know where that goes. Huh. Might need to look at the instructions for this kit. Okay, I see what's happening here. So there's a little bushing thing that presses in, and then you've got this thing. It looks like this little band thing, you got to press onto this part, I'm guessing. It fits perfectly. And then you got your clip, and then always a good idea to look, see what the heck you're doing first. And then this just kind of presses onto there, I guess. I always love it when there's like parts that they could have just pressed together for you, and then they're like, you do this. How does that work? Huh. Well, I'm not entirely certain what's going on here, but this end is the big end. This one's the small. So the tip is smaller than the other end. Oh, we're okay. Sorry about that, guys. So, oh man. So I was looking at these parts. There's a little doodad that I'm going to press into the one side here. So that just screws onto the nib thing. And then there's these three parts. I mean, this obviously presses into the other end. This looks like it just slides over this. The thing that I'm a little confused about is this. Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. I know what's happening here. We also have this piece. That gets pressed into there, and then this goes all the way, it screws in. So there's a lot going on here. But anyway, this side is the big side. The end is the big side, the nib is the smaller. Now I gotta switch back over to number 2, camera 2. That's working. All right, let's do this. Smaller, yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. I don't know what's on the inside of this either, so it's kind of arbitrary. I think we're okay though. Can you guys see what's going on? Okay. I'm just using a standard cutter because it's what I got on there. But you could go either way. I don't think there's really like an advantage other than there's no advantage to using a standard cutter in this case, you know. I just don't want to switch it out at the moment. All right, let's stop real quick, see what it's looking like. Woo! That turned out okay. Look at that. Oh, I lost my battery cable. That's kind of cool looking. So like I said, I just kind of blobbed it down in there and it ended up kind of giving me little, man, that actually, now I'm going to say right now, I can't guarantee that all the blanks are going to look like this, but this is pretty good. I like that. Little blobs of gold, but mostly red. So like I said, I don't know if all of them are going to be that lucky, but this is as good of a pattern as I could have hoped for. Still looking pretty good. Let me turn the light down a little bit so you can kind of see it's reflecting. So we just got some little kind of lines of the gold, some blobs. It's starting to thin out the further I go in. You know, these blanks may look better on something a little thicker, possibly. I don't know. It's all just going to come down to how it kind of fell when I was pouring it. And one other thing I want to mention, so I had a couple extras. We were talking about, you start dumping in a ton of extra material into your resin, and the number of, grams or ounces or whatever that you need for a mold, you can adjust down because it's going to be adding volume to the whole thing. So I had quite a bit left over, and so I just decided, since I'm going to go with a one-piece pen, those ones ended up being a little short, and so I just used one of those. I don't really think that there was really any difference in the way that I poured those extras, but they turned out quite a bit shorter. So I'm not going to send these out to the Pen Blank Club, because they're like probably about a half inch short. may present problems on certain kits. So, like I said, I don't really think that there's really any like difference. But you will get a little bit of a different look depending on how you pour. All right, I'm going to stop this and look. We're pretty close. Yeah, that's kind of cool looking. Very sparkly, guys. If you're not into bling, I don't think Metall Flake is for you. Now again, I am going to be adding a CA finish to this, so I don't, if anything, I don't want anything proud, any material proud to begin with. We want to take it down because we're going to be building up, adding more layers. Not that I want it under, but I do not want it to be proud of the bushing. Looking pretty good there. Visalia. This is what it's like making pens in the dark. Yeah. Let's see here. It's not, what's going on, Darren? Oh, commercial. I didn't set it up any different. It's YouTube. YouTubing it. All right, so this side's pretty good. There's a little bit of a lip there, so I'm gonna come back in. Just nibble this away a little bit. Okay. All right, so we're all good here. So we're going to do the same thing that we always do. We're going to wet sand and do all that stuff, but we are going to want to put a CA finish on top of this. But you do want to sand it first. And like I said, it's, right now it doesn't look, I mean, really it's actually not that bad. Whoa, 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 stream close up. Let me get on the side here. I think that'll work better. There we go. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. So, I got to be honest, this actually doesn't even look that bad. It's going to look a lot better, but you can tell it's really just, I'm actually kind of surprised at how much sparkle is still coming through this right now, but it's dull for sure. And typically with most glitters, you're really going to have to add that a glossy layer on top, and then the whole thing is really just going to sparkle, glisten, if you will. All right, so let's turn this thing off because I'm sick of listening to that. Oh, the quiet. Lathe buddy time. Everybody loves lathe buddy time. I do. Get some water. Where's my, there it is. 600. So again, I'm going to start with 600. Now I got a pretty good surface. I don't really have, a lot of tool marks and junk going on. If you've got tool marks, you may want to start at, 400. I mean, if it's like, for some reason, it's like terrible, there's like really ridges and stuff going on, you may have to go lower. I don't really recommend, if you can, you're best off getting as smooth a surface as you can off the tool. And start at a higher grit. It's just, one, it's less work, less sanding. But the deeper the scratches you put in while you're sanding, the harder they are to get out. So if you start at like 100 or 150 or something like that, even 220, it's going to be harder to get those scratches out. They're going a lot deeper. And I find that you're going to have a higher percentage of not getting, you get to the end and you're going to see scratch marks. And I don't know if this is for sure. You might have just missed some stuff or didn't do, enough throughout the whole thing. But what I think sometimes happens, if you start at a really gritty grit, it's hard to tell if you got the whole thing out, the deepest part of those scratches out. And so, like a 100 grit particle is going to go much deeper than like a 400 or 600. And you can kind of end up where you've gone through all your grits, polished it, and then there's still scratches. And I think that's just sometimes, at least, caused by like you didn't get that 100 grit scratch fully out. And it can be very hard to tell if you did or not sometimes. That's the problem with it. So, like I said, you're best off if you can start higher. And you can go even higher. I mean, if you got this thing like dead smooth, I mean, you could maybe start at 1,000 or something, 600 seems to be a pretty good sweet spot for me usually. And I like the wet dry as this beginning step because the paper's a little bit firmer than the Zona. This stuff's floppy. So, and it cuts pretty quick. There's a lot more grit particles per square inch, I think, or the shape of them are slightly different than the Zona. These are more for like polishing, the Zona stuff. This is sandpaper, the black stuff. And it just tends to do an efficient job and a little bit better job at like getting everything really smooth. So I really like that. I like to use the wet dry for that purpose. And like I said, 600 is a pretty good starting point. It's pretty close to the same grit as the green, but I feel like technically I think they say this is like 600, the green one, but it feels more like 800 or something, 7 to 8. Definitely wet sand on these. It's moist. Yeah. And because there's so much reflection and stuff going on, it sometimes can be a little bit hard to see, like, did you get it smooth? So, just make sure that, I always say on the first step is always, give it its amount of time, on that first step. You don't want to find out that you didn't get everything totally flat at the end. All right, then we'll do a little bit of this. Break up those scratch patterns a little bit. I'm gonna get myself some paper towels here. I like to kind of wipe it off after the after I get that sanding done. In this case, like we're probably like I pulled off some little particles. There's little shiny things going on in here. So I think it's probably a good idea to give it a wipe after each polishing step, because you're possibly going to pull some of these little glitter particles off, which are basically little plastic things. So I think you're probably best off, like, actually, even between these grits, I'm probably going to wipe the blank off itself. Harold's here. What's happening? Yeah, where's Marquetta? Kind of fun to use a different pen kit than I normally do too. And this one, a little bit different shaping because of the dimensions, you know. Well, that'll be fun. I am kind of bummed though. Like I said, I couldn't find either of these kits anywhere. And there's a freaking, looks like a mosquito. Dust collector to the rescue. I'm gonna collect you. Ha! Enjoy my cyclone. Mosquito. You don't get my blood today. No, you don't. Okay, and then like I said, I'm going to wipe this off just to make sure there's no, doesn't look like I'm getting particles. The polishing paper. But that's fine. Yeah, but she was at a show last week. She mentioned in the comment of my last week's stream, and I thought she was going to be here this week. So she might pop in later. You never know. I'm actually kind of surprised. This thing's looking not that bad with these polishing papers. I still think that, well, yeah, I don't know. Still say that you're going to get a better look with CA glue, but I mean, man, I don't know. Well, it's wet right now, so let's see if we dry this off. Oh, man, I don't know. Yeah, pretty dull. You might, I mean, I don't know. You could, if you really didn't want to do a CA finish, you maybe could try just polishing it. I really think, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a much better look going for CA. It's going to look a lot better, more even. I think what's kind of happening is there are some areas where there's like little glitter particles or, you know, metal flake below the surface of the clear resin. And so it is polishable in that case, but anything that's on the outside where the particles like literally on the outside, you can't polish that. It's not going to polish up. It's going to look funky. So I think even if I went through and magic juice this, it would be like spotty, if I remember, because I've tried it in the past and I went, ugh, that's yucky. So we'll do a CA finish on this. It'll be a simple one, quick one. I'm going to get to use the new Turner's Warehouse, new to me. They're Instaflex. Let's see here. I think, if I remember correctly, I think I bought their thin. I've done this one other time. I'll probably hit it with the thin. I want to see what this looks like. I think this is they're both Instaflex. The flex ones are the ones that are good for finish. It's not going to want to crack. The other ones are just good for like gluing things. Like I use the Starbond Super Fast Thin. This is not a great finish. This is good. I like this for like penetrating stuff and doing all that. But it's more brittle, right? And so the problem with like pens and things, if there's like massive temperature changes, or especially on wood blanks, they can kind of expand and contract a little bit with the moisture in the air. And if you put the brittle CA glue on, it can crack. But where the flexible ones do not do that. So this Instaflex is good. I used to use the Mercury Flex, and I like that just fine. It works good too. And there's, I think Starbond's got finish, products that are made for finishes. So let's try this thin. I think I kind of just said, I don't see the point of the thin. It was very thin, or I don't know. I can't remember now. So I do it kind of weird. I use paper towels and I put on pretty thin coats. So, but it tends to work pretty well for me. So there's a billion different ways to do CA finishes. I gotta be honest, I haven't done a CA finish in a long time. So we'll see how this goes. But I like to fold my little paper over. And then they also have the Insta Set. And you want to use the spray stuff with this product. It's kind of part of the routine. It sets it up. Otherwise, it has a little trouble setting up sometimes. Yeah, this one's like super thin. So I'm going to put this on, and I want that to kind of seal the top surface. Okay. And then what I do is, like I said, I take my little paper towel, fold it over a couple times so that I'm not getting it all over my fingers. And then what I do is I use that little bit, and then I just cut off that little bit that I just used, throw it in the trash, and then I got a fresh little piece on my paper towel. And then so we want to just give it a little spurts. And already, we got more coats to go, obviously, but already that thing is looking pretty wicked good. Is it kind of hard to tell? Is that thing focused on the... Very sparkly, so I gotta spin it so you can actually see what's going on with this thing. Oh man, it's pretty good. I don't even know if the camera's really picking this up, but that thing looks pretty awesome. Bedazzled, guys. That thing is bedazzled. You're gonna have to wear sunglasses if you spin that thing around in somebody's face. All right, so I think I'm gonna do one more of these thin. And I got the lathe going around 500-600, not very fast. And I just on and off, like I'm not, I'm not sitting there, I'm not pressing hard. I just kind of pretty light touch. The one thing, a lot of people may look at this and go, that's kind of crazy. This thing absorbs a lot of the CA glue. So another way to do it, you can use just a glove, and that'll spread it around on the surface much better. So if you're trying to fill holes and stuff like that, I don't think I would really use paper towel because it's going to suck off some of it also. But it's not going to, your glove won't penetrate. It's not going to soak up any CA glue. So you can kind of spread around, thicker stuff and get it into holes a little bit better if you're trying to fill things. But this thin flex, I mean, it is like thin. It's like as thin as the super fast thin. So like it's more like a penetrating kind of thing. I like to use that thin stuff to kind of just let it soak into any surface holes that may be there, or something like that, pits or anything. But just kind of give it a little bit of a thin coating to start. But this medium is going to be really the way to go. The medium they call it, medium. Get on the camera. Instaflex. It's not thick. It's like, get on camera here. Try to stop the wobble. So I would say it's about the same thickness as the Mercury. Honestly, it's about the same as the Mercury Thin. Maybe a little thicker than theirs. The Mercury Medium is a little bit thicker. I don't know. Maybe somewhere in the middle. I think it's a good, I like it. I got to spray this real quick. I'm not a big fan of like the really thick stuff. You can pile it up quicker, but I'd rather do a lot of thin coats personally. So I'd let that kind of, make sure that's, I like to use maybe the back of my glove to just double check and make sure it's dry. That's nice and dry. And you can get going pretty quick. Well, that was way too much. Like I said, on and off. I'm not sitting there messing around with it. I just want to get it on, get a thin coat, move on with my life, then give it a little spray. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so you can kind of maybe see my CA action. So I'll grab another paper towel. Like I said, I fold it over, give it about a couple folds there. Let's see here. Hold on a minute. I like to get it. There we go. Kind of small. Flatten it out. And then, like I said, I can kind of do this pretty quick. I just on, spray, and then scissor. On, spray, scissor. So it goes on pretty quick. And you can build up a good amount of layers. How many layers do you guys usually do? I'm kind of curious. I usually do about 5 to 7, something like that. A lot of times I forget where I'm at. But, and I would say that's not really including that first thin. It's like 5 to 7 real layers. Is usually pretty good. As long as everything's, pretty much nice and flat on there and you're good to go. Okay, so let's stop. And then what I do here is, I've gotten on all these coats and I tried, the real name of the game with CA finishes, try to get it on as smooth. I don't care what you do. Try to get on your layers as smooth as possible. And that's why I do it the way I do it. That just kind of couple swipes real quick and then get off. I don't even care if I've covered the whole thing. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be flat. So just a couple swipes, get off there, spray it, and then do it again. That method seems to work best for me, to get it on pretty smooth and using kind of the thinner stuff. When I always found when I was using them, like the thicker mediums, it would just be lumpy. And at that point, all I'm doing is sitting there sanding it off. Trying to get to, because you're going to have to sand it all the way back down to the lowest trough if you've got a bunch of ridges on there. So I would be sanding more than I was putting on a CA finish at that point. And I didn't like it. But I can usually get away with, like I said, 5 to 7 coats like this. But there are little ridges going on. Like, this looks pretty good, but if you can get in there, and especially you can see there's like a line of reflection, there's a bunch of little lines because you can't get it on perfect. So then you come back and do more wet sanding. And if you want, on a CA finish, you could like walk away for like 30 minutes and let this harden more. Obviously, I'm not going to do that today, but it is something you could do. The harder it is, the easier it's going to be to polish. I generally find if you add water on top of CA finish, that usually helps to kind of cure it even more. So you can just do what I'm doing. I don't really think there's anything wrong with just going straight into your final polish. If you've got a bunch of ridges, you may need to drop down to that 600, but usually you can get away with just starting with the green. And again, I don't want to press hard. I don't want to take a bunch of material off. I just want this thing to be smooth with no little lines or anything going on. So in this case, I need to get in there and look at this thing. I'm probably going to have to crank the light up and stuff. So I'm going to wipe this off. I just want to make sure that I've gotten it smooth. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can actually see. And I want to look at this from a couple different angles. I want to see, you know, what did I do here? How's it looking? That looks fine. It's looking good. There's no little lines or anything going on. And it didn't take much sanding. I don't need to do that. I didn't need to like sand the heck out of this thing. I just, you know, I'm not pressing hard at all. And that's fine. One thing I didn't do is this. Very light. I don't want to do much of that. Okay. And I'm going to wipe it off and then we'll hit it with the magic juice and we will be done with this one. Now, before we do the magic juice, I didn't use finish bushings or any of that kind of stuff. All right. So chances are my bushings are kind of stuck to my blank right now. All right. So let's pop this off. And they are. Okay. They're not really coming out. So my method of dealing with this. Now, like I said, you could use something like a finish bushing. You could even like cut, like get up there with like a knife, turn the lathe on and like cut if you can get it perfectly on that line. I find that to be terrible and I don't work too well doing that. The easiest thing to do is just tap it on your lathe, you know, something that's hard, lightly, and they pop loose. If you've built up a ton of CA, you put like a super thick layer on there, you may need to cut them off, right? But that's not the way that I do it. I don't put a huge glob on. I put pretty thin layers and I can get away with doing this. Now, the thing with doing that, I cracked it off, right? And in the many years that I've been doing this, like technically you could crack into your finish, possibly. I've never had that happen to me personally, but it is something that could happen. However, there are going to be little shards kind of hanging over the edge. Very small usually, but there could be. So what I've got is I've got this little doohickey here. You could just get like a couple pieces of wood, 1/4-inch dowel maybe or something. And then I just use a hole punch, put some sandpaper on this, but you need it to be like 90 degrees. All right, so this is the only use that I have for mandrels. And then I just get in there and I'm pushing down so it's referencing the bar. I don't want it to be like angled weird. I want it to be square. And then I just twist. And then that squares up my end and gets rid of any little particles that, you know, like little finish pieces that are hanging off. Because if I don't get rid of those and I press the parts together, then you're definitely going to crack the finish. So definitely take a look at that and make sure you got everything good to go. The other thing is, even if you didn't really have little shards hanging off, if you did it totally differently, if you had any finish, if the finish protrudes over the end of the blank at all, and then you try and press it on, you're still going to possibly crack your finish, like, because you're basically pressing the part up against finish. So even if you don't do it the way that I do it like that, it's not a bad idea to have some way of, realistically, you could probably just get a flat area. You don't necessarily need some fancy mandrel thing and all that. just take a piece of sandpaper, put it on a flat surface, and you can probably just do it this way, you know, spinning it on a flat surface with sandpaper, you know, on there. You could do it that way probably too, but it's a good idea to just kind of clean up the ends after you put a CA finish on so that you don't run into, it's the worst when you're pressing parts on and your finish cracks. You're just like, well, that was great. That was a waste of an hour, you know. So just a couple things. Now I've got some CA glue on my bushings, guaranteed. So what I do is I just drop them and let's see, where's my little, it's probably empty. Oh, there's stuff in there. Okay. So I just got a little jar of acetone. Acetone will melt, fully dissolve CA glue. So I just take my bushings after I'm done and I drop them in my little acetone bucket, let them soak there. It'd probably only take about 5 minutes, but I just set this aside and they're all clean, ready to go for the next time. So let's take a peek at this. Oh, I'm not done. Ha! Now we got to polish it. But I will have very clean bushings. Let's see here. Where's my... I got little tweezers to get the bushings out. Makes it nice. All right, so let's polish this thing up. How about that? What do you guys think? Let's see what the... Oh, you guys are on my side. You guys think this is going to look like Iron Man. I don't know. Let's see. So I pulled the bushings out and I'm just wiping them off, getting all that acetone off. It pretty much dries immediately anyway, but yeah. So they're all nice and clean. So like I said, I mean, honestly, 5 minutes is not, you don't even need 5 minutes. Like they're going to be probably clean very quick. But it does depend on how much CA glue you got to get off of there. I usually don't have a lot because I go for fairly thin things. All right, so let's put this back together and let's do some magic juicing. Almost forgot about that step. I was so excited to show you my bushing trick. Okay, magic juice. So on the next one, I might actually show you what it looks like to just polish it up with magic juice first. Just to kind of, you know, get an idea of what to expect, the differences. I've never technically looked at metal flake versus glitter. So, you know, there's maybe this metal flake stuff is a little bit different than your standard glitter and could look okay just being polished. I don't think I would bet money on that, but there is a chance that you could just get away with trying to, you know, buff it, polish it, something. All right, so yeah, kind of nebula looking, a little bit, yeah. Let's see here. I'm just, let's see. Beads. Yeah, CA's, you know, there's a place for CA, you know, but sometimes it's a little overused. You can, there's so many different ways to get something kind of polished up, you know. Chris was talking about friction finishes, and you know, they're pretty simple. I never really got into that too much. Not for any specific reason. I just never really did it. Originally, I was kind of more into just like oils, like totally natural, like that natural wood feel kind of thing. When I was doing more wood. And I know friction polish really it's not adding a whole lot on top, but I just kind of went for like oil or CA. If I, you know, it was either kind of close to the grain or totally protected. So I didn't do a whole lot of that. It's a great one to do. You know, it works real well. And it's pretty simple. Okay, so we got number 2. This thing's already, I can tell it's already looking shiny. But, you know, the big thing about this is, especially with the larger size particles, the smaller ones are a little bit muted with this, but the sparkle, the bedazzle that you get from Metall Flake, like glitter, you know, it's pretty awesome. And it may or may not be for you, you know. Some people don't really love it, but when you see one, like, I mean, it catches your eye, you know, like even if you don't really like the look, you're like, whoa, what's that? Something sparkling over there. Step 4. So technically, I'm not wiping it off. I usually do that with the other cloth thing, the big microfiber. Kind of not doing that, mainly because I just kind of forgot. So I don't think it's going to affect anything. But there could be a little bit of contamination between the grits if you don't wipe off in between. We're just going to act like everything's fine. And I meant to do that. Man, this step 5. The nozzle keeps getting messed up. All right. I think I am going to wipe it this time since I remembered now. Always with the lathe off if you're going to do a big rag like this and wipe it off. And final step 6. And it's important to go all the way to 6. 6 has, I don't know for sure. It's not like I talked to anybody and figured this out or anything, but I'm convinced that it's got a little bit of like a static discharge in it. So it's not just about another step of polishing. It's got some, so like it's not going to attract dirt particles as much. And in fingerprints, it seems like it helps with those things in addition to being your kind of final swirl remover polish. Okay, now we can see what this thing looks like. Let's see. Let me give it a little wipe with my other rag. Find a nice clean spot on it. I'm gonna get a new one. Oh man. Bedazzled, guys. This thing hurts your eyes. See if I'm gonna try and I'm kind of plugged in here. I'm gonna unplug the battery so I can get a better angle. I'm gonna try and scoot back and get kind of a lower angle on this, and that might help a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's not the greatest idea. Maybe we'll come a little bit from the top. But I'm going to turn the light down because it's going to blow out the camera. Okay. I mean, what? Is that coming through very well on the camera? It doesn't feel like it's coming through very well. Let me try this angle from here. I don't even think it's picking it up. Really, let's turn the light down a little bit. I don't know if that helps or not. Man, this thing looks pretty good. So, Iron Man, does it look like Iron Man? Let's see here. Let's get this thing off. Get rid of these bushings. A lot of times if I hold it up, it looks a little bit better on camera. If it focuses, that is. There we go. This thing, man. I don't know. I mean, I could. Is it Iron Man? I don't know. It's cool looking though, either way. There's a good shot. I truly don't think the camera is really picking up how this really looks in person. Yeah, I don't know. I could call this Iron Man. Kind of cool. All right. Even if it's not Iron Man, I like it. It's a pretty good looking pen. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I wanted to see what you guys do with your CA. Let's see here. Mark does about 7 to 10 also. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. If you don't want to sand through, so more layers is better than less. If you're doing a CA finish, for sure. But with enough practice, you'll kind of get to a point, I think, at least I did, where you're like, okay, good enough. And if you do end up sanding through, it's not a big deal. You just add some more CA finish to it. It's not a big deal. But you'll usually get to a point where you're kind of like, so 7 to 10, 5 to 7, whatever that number is, it's also going to depend on how you put it on, right? So you can't just say, well, okay, I'll just put 7 layers on, like it's a burrito. Your method or your CA glue, even like the thickness of it and all these factors, may change how much you need to put on. If you're putting on really thick layers, you may not need to put 7. Even depending on how it's coming out, or whatever. Let's see here. So I lost my. I don't want to lose. Oh, there it is. Okay. Last thing I want to do is lose my bag for these bushings. Okay. Got everything good. All right, so let's, I'm going to scoot you guys back. We'll show you the setup on this, this other one that I got going on here. Raise that up just a little bit, get a little bit better angle on things, and then scoot you back. So let's see. Vinny's got 5 to 7, 3 layers of thin, 3 to 4 of medium. Yeah, a lot of people do like a thin, medium kind of thing. Also, there's so many different ways to do it. Let's see here. Your bushings are acetone proof. I like it. Let's see here. I guess the clear coat would be the CA finish one. Yeah. Well, and the thing, it's going to be a little bit. So we're cutting into those glitters. So let's see if you guys can see this. The one problem for us is we are cutting, we're sanding, we're doing all this stuff to this thing, right? They're not doing that on car paint. They're just laying it down. So the one thing that you may get, and you can maybe kind of see this, there's like little silvery looking areas. And you're probably not going to have that on car paint. I think the things that look a little bit more silver are areas where you've like cut through a piece of glitter and you're seeing like the side of it or something like that. So that is one drawback to doing this, but there's no other way to do it for us. I mean, the only other way I can think of is you could like basically paint a tube, you know, where you're doing it a lot more like car paint kind of thing. You're just literally, you would literally be airbrushing metal flake. You know, you'd probably start with like a black tube or something like that, spray on a layer with your airbrush with metal flake in it, and then put clear coat on. So you're doing it basically like auto body. That's the only way that you would be able to make a pen. Well, and then you'd have to cast your tube, you know. So that would be the only way to get it perfect without any of those little kind of artifacts. But I mean, honestly, that looks fine. You know, I'm nitpicking that completely, but it looks fine. All right, so let's go back over camera 2. So this other one is an open-end pen kit, or you know, whatever, open-end pen, or closed-end pen, which means we've only got one open end, obviously. Is the camera on? Okay. So you can't get to the, you know, the tube. We're gonna basically use the blank as the end of the thing. There's nothing to press in. There's no hole even. We're not gonna expose the tube. So we're just gonna round over the blank. And you could do that square. You could make it flared out. You could do all kinds of cool stuff and make your own shape for the end of the pen, which is kind of fun. Now, the thing about that is you got to know what the length of the tube is and all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to cut this too short. So I've kind of estimated that, and I got a mark down here where I'm going to round the pen over. However, this presents a little bit of a challenge for work holding because we only have one side, so you're not going to be just shoving this on a mandrel. So we've got one bushing. It's a standard bushing that I have for this kit, and I've got the TBC adapter. All right, so we've got one side that we can use with bushings. And what I've done is I've just drilled a hole with my center drill. It's got a 60-degree angle on it. That matches up with my live center 60-degree. And we can effectively hold the work now. But, you know, we can turn it, but we are going to have to cut off that end and you know, shape it. That presents a little bit of a problem with work holding, okay? Now I got to think about, that's maybe why there's, maybe that's what, okay, so I was kind of curious about, there was like an extra part in here. How does that work? Hold on a minute, guys. I got to think about this for a sec. But when I get to the end, it's just going to cut off. So hold on. Let me look at this real quick. I think, I'm not sure. I think I'm missing a part. Maybe not. How does that work? Oh. I think I might know how this works. I may need to use a mandrel, guys. Oh my God. I don't want to use a mandrel. I think I get what's going on here, but I might need an adjustable one. Ah, that's what's happening. Okay. That goes in there. Okay. Huh. Okay, so we're going to do this a little differently then. I'm going to use a mandrel. Ugh. I don't know about that. Feels funny. But it is going to let me do, I think I might be missing a part or something. Because there's other little mandrel things that have like a little balloon thing that kind of goes in and holds this. I don't know if I'm supposed to have that or not on this. Who knows? But my mandrel is adjustable. I have an adjustable one here. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if I've ever even used this mandrel. We're gonna today though. Okay, so new plan, guys. I've done this. How did I do this in the past? Because I've turned one of these kits, I'm pretty sure, and I don't think I had this. Didn't use a mandrel, I'm pretty sure about that. But that's cool, whatever. All right, so if you got a kit like this and you got a mandrel, let's see, I got to put the bushing on first. So we're not going to be using TBC. Where are the bushings at? So the problem is, when I got to the end, nothing's holding my blank, right? So I was like, oh, how are we going to cut this off? Trying to think if there's another way that I could have done that. Let me know if you guys think of a solution to that if you're using TBC. I don't know. Maybe Brian knows. Let's see. So I probably have to get this somewhat close. Let's see. Okay, so that's bottomed out. I got my other bushing. So I can put this kind of like right there. I don't know. That's not going to hold the blank though, still. Still got kind of the same problem. Yeah, it looks like a bass boat. Let's see. Anybody know what I don't know what I'm doing here. Could you feel any texture? Yeah, you can feel a little bit of texture on the blank. Where do you get the live center things that hold the bushings? So you can get them at Turner's Warehouse or like any of the turning places. Turner's Warehouse has them. So you got the live center that's locked in. It's driving. And you got this is the dead center. That goes in the headstock and it's going to drive the thing. And then you got your live center that spins freely from the tailstock side. And then the bushings, you can either get them at Turner's Warehouse, tbcbushings.com, best ones out there. Handmade. I'm having a problem here though. How the heck am I going to hold this thing on? So the way this usually works, there's like a mandrel that has like a little rubber blow up thing. And I don't have that. So I don't really know how this is going to work because this is not going to be any different than me just using the TBC bushings. Huh. Well, I glued in a piece, but it doesn't have, yeah, I mean, that would, I guess, work. But man, I mean, if you have to buy one of these things every time you turn one of these blanks, that's terrible. But it came with another little piece. But it was much thinner than this. So I don't know. That would be a way to do it. I mean, for sure, but that seems kind of crazy. If you have to buy, because like I said, that didn't come with the kit. That wasn't in the kit that I had anyway. That might be, this might be why they got rid of these things because you can't buy them anymore. Trying to think. Well, I could use a. mean, I could use some sort of a... I'm trying to think of how to... I could use like a friction fit dowel that I turn or something like that. I think I might have picked the wrong kit to turn. Well, okay, so this thing ain't doing me any good, so I'm not going to use the mandrel. Although I'm probably never going to turn one of these things again. So I mean, like really, well, I don't know if it's the glue's going to hold at this point. TBC is the way. Yeah, I know the Apollo or Artemis are way better. See, what did Vinny say? Were you supposed to? Oh, glue that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can buy a mandrel that's got like a bladder thing that's like adjustable. I don't have one of those. How did I know I've turned one of these. How did I do that? I must have come up with some way. This would be easier if all I was doing was polishing the blank, because I could kind of CA it to something quickly and then just douse it with acetone. You know, like that would, but if I do that, I'm going to ruin the finish. So that doesn't work. I'm not opposed to just gluing this thing in. At that point, I will have to use the mandrel. So I think we're just going to go with the mandrel, and I'm just going to try and glue this thing in. I think I'm going to glue it in at the end. I'm just going to leave it the way it is right now first. And then I'll glue it in at the end for, oops, I lost my other, that's not good. So we can start shaping this. I don't know. we're gonna figure out something. We're gonna just wing it, guys. Yeah, actually, you know what I think I might have done? So I think I know what I did. You're gonna laugh. I'm pretty sure I remember what I did. So the other way that you can deal with the end is to literally, you know, turn your pen, cut this down like as far as you can kind of get it, and then just like hand sand it. Like I might have even like shaped it a little bit on like the sander, you know, disc sander or something. And then, or I might have even, I got a little disc sander that I set up on my lathe and just kind of shaped it there and then hand sanded it. I think that's what I did. So helps to know how to turn your pen kit before you start. Oh man. This is why I just stick with Cigar, Sierra, and Junior. I don't have to think. Oh man. Like I said, guys, I'm not a professional I'm not a skilled pen turner. People always ask me questions about it. I'm like, I can tell you stuff about resin casting, but man, I don't know. I'm a hack when it comes to turning. All right. So I think we're ready, guys. You guys got a view. Let's start turning, and then but like I said, in this case, I think I'm like I said, I'm kind of done with this kit. So I'll probably just glue that thing in there and see what we get. See what happens. Hopefully it'll work. Yeah, tape. Tape could work maybe. I can only find the Stark stylus. Oh yeah, I know. I couldn't even find. There was like no reference to Stark anywhere. I don't think. Well, hold on real quick. Let me. Turner's Warehouse might have. I'm curious, real quick. Let me look at something. We're gonna go to the Turner's Warehouse website. They got a ton of pen kit instructions. Project kit pen kit instructions. Ballpoint. Stark. Yeah, it shows the bladder thing. And so okay, so yeah, I don't know. I should have had a little bladder thing. How does that work? Just the end cap. Use the sander. Insert the step bushing, the bladder, and the screw. And screw the end bushing over the mandrel. Okay, so you're not supposed to glue the thing in there. I'm supposed to have a little bladder thing. I'm pretty sure I don't, though. Let me just look in my little box of doodads real quick here. Let me see if I have a bladder somewhere. I'm pretty sure I don't have anything like that. I may have another Stark bushing kit somewhere. There's a possibility. I've been known to buy the same bushing kit twice. Yeah, I don't see it though. Can't see. Let's see, I got more in here. Baseball. Manager. I got even more. Oh man, I got more pen kits than I thought. Oh, Vertex Click. What the heck? I found a whole drawer full of pen kits I didn't know I had. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, guys. So we're just gonna do what I was saying. Let's see. What's this? Beads. We're just gonna glue the thing in because I don't plan on doing this kit anytime. All right, let's do this. Get this thing rolling here, huh? Quit messing around. I'm gonna get this thing closer so it picks up more of the glitters. Definitely getting some chatter. I find this is actually a reason to use a standard type cutter. A lot of times when you got something that's just kind of spanning and longer, it's not fixed, right? So we're just kind of shoving it together and holding it, hoping it holds, kind of thing, right? You can get a lot more vibration. Now, you can maybe stabilize it with your hand if you want. I don't think I'd recommend that with a bunch of little plastic shards. You know, like that's basically what this glitter is. So I ain't doing that. But I find the standard cutter doesn't create as much chatter because it's like less friction, I feel like, happening. Just giving myself a little bit of breathing room on that mark. So when I get to this middle part, lighter cuts, I'm gonna give it just a little bit of a turn on the live center. I think we're gonna go for a fat pen, guys. We're gonna go for a fatty. Tony, I know I really wish this kit was gold. I would have totally used the Stark kit for the Iron Man blank, but it was chrome. I was kind of bummed. All right, so it's pretty soon here. I still want to take this down, but I think I'm going to go for a pretty fat pen. I mean, honestly, I could even like put some shaping in this since it is going to be kind of a closed-end deal, but that is going, you know, I would maybe do that if this wasn't a pen that needs CA glue. If you put a bunch of bumps and stuff in, and you got to put a CA finish on, I mean, that's where CA finishes become difficult. And we'd be here all day with me putting CA finish on that thing. So one of the things that I'm also doing with this standard cutter is I'm giving it an angle, which is also reducing. So if I just come in here and I'm giving it just, and I'm flat on the tool rest, and that's the way that you technically should be using. That's how they tell you to use these tools, but that's giving me like the amount of contact on the blank starts to really thicken out on this. Now a square cutter would be a little bit better maybe, but I like using my round ones, and if I tilt it, it lowers the amount of cutter that's hitting the blank. So you're getting a sheer cut with a smaller amount of the actual metal. So that'll also help reduce some of that chatter. But on something like this, like we're not going to get rid of the chatter. You want to be careful though, because if it's chattering, what that means is it's like vibrating, right? It's flexing. And so the problem that you have with a standard cutter is it's more prone to grabbing. And so you can pretty easily, if you start feeling a lot of chatter, you really might want to back off and start taking even lighter cuts. Depending, because it can chatter enough to where it kind of vibrates and then catches, and then it's going to blow up. So, you know, chatter, you can go both ways. You can pull out the negative rake and that'll help a little bit, but it's probably going to chatter even more. But you're not going to get a catastrophic blowout, most likely, with the negative rake. So, you know, It's up to you which way you want to go. It's starting to really get vibratey down at the end here. And I think the thinner that I go with this thing, the worse the chatter is going to get. So I don't think I'm going to go a whole lot thinner than that. Kind of looks like a fish. And I think I'm going to take my own advice real quick, and I'm going to swap out to a negative rake. I might even play around with the negative square guy a little bit and just see how that does. I like to smooth things out with that a lot of times, but let's just switch to the negative round, and let's just see how that does with this. I'm still angling it. But like I said, I'm a lot less worried about this thing just grabbing and blowing up in my face with a negative rake. It's not to say it can't happen, but it's a lot less likely. All right, so that's the round one. It's kind of doing the same thing, but I'm not that worried. It's a little easier to manage to just kind of, take a little bit off here because it doesn't really want to grab into the material. I was having a little trouble with that standard cutter. I could feel it kind of wanting to give. So you don't want to be like loose-handed if you're running into that kind of thing. You want to be not white knuckle, but you want to have a good grip on it so it's not pulling it or doing anything. With this negative rake though, I have a lot more control without having to have as much pressure, grip pressure. So let's switch over. I've got a negative rake CI2 square guy. And these are interesting because you can go in with like the nose, but again, that's going to be a pretty wide amount of material that you're in contact with. But you've also got these little corners, right? And those are like just a little point. So you can kind of come in. Now I'm having a tough time. This is like the hard direction for me. I'm much better at like a pull this way. So I'm gonna have to do this, but I am able to kind of reduce the chatter a little bit with the corner of the tool. So different ways to kind of tackle these issues. All right, gonna have to do a little bit more sanding on this one, I think. That's okay. So we're gonna switch back to round so I can get in here. We're gonna kind of bring this guy down. blew all my paper towels off. All right, so it's looking pretty good. All right, I think I'm gonna call it quits there. I'm gonna sand this thing. What did I say? I was gonna glue that thing in. But like I said, I think I'm gonna do most of my sanding first. Get this thing, because it's gonna take a little bit, and I don't want it to be hanging off the end with me like putting pressure. I'm gonna have to do that either way, but I'd rather just get this sanding done first. Now, somebody asked if it's definitely a texture, you know, it's not smooth. And the silver areas are the biggest chunks. They're very gritty feeling, whereas like the purple is pretty smooth. And even really this, you know, so the purple's the 0.004, the smallest. The teal and the brown are the medium, and they're pretty smooth, a little bit of texture to that, but definitely a lot of texture on the silver. That's the big one, big chunks. So just to kind of let you know about that. Okay, so let's see here. Mike's in the house. How's it going? Dream time. Small piece of tubing. Yeah, tubing, that would have worked. Something like that. Let's see here. What am I gonna call it? Well, see, but I can turn the waste off, but I can't turn the rest of it. It's the same problem, just in reverse with a collet, I think. I don't know. Really, the right way to do it is, like I said, they have this little bladder thing that expands, and I never had that. Yeah, it's kind of torpedo shaped. Vinny's out. All right, man, have a good time. Okay, so let's sand. In this case, I was talking about when is the time to drop down. Okay, this is the time for me to drop down. I'm going to start with 400 because I don't think the 600. I got some ridges and stuff. It's not great. I mean, I could probably. The better way to do this, it's kind of hard because the silver looks like there's an indentation here. I probably need to come back with a tool, take a little bit more off, but it's hard to tell. Looks like there's a little bit of a bump here and a dip here. All right, so I don't like that. I wasn't sure if it was like an optical illusion. I don't think it is. So we're going to do a little bit more with, I think I'm going to use the square tool. A lot of people like the square tools. So it's like, even a bit of a, man, this thing's, I don't know, it's hard to tell. It looks pretty bumpy to me, like not smooth, like kind of dancing around. But I can't tell if it's like an optical illusion because the silver glitter is like kind of more clear, transparent looking. Hard to tell. All right. It's about as good as I feel like I can get it. Now let's switch over to the 80 grit smoother. Not really. I'm going to start at 400. But like I said, I feel like the 600 wet dry, I mean, it removes a decent amount of material on resin blanks. Like, it's pretty quick and efficient. 400 is even better. So I don't really feel like I need to go much lower than that. I do need to find, let's see, I gotta find some 400 grit though. Do I have any? Ooh, I might have some. I don't know what that one is. I'm gonna get a new piece. Thousand. Here we go. Let's see here. No clue what that is. Actually, I hate it when the backing, the numbers are gone. Got a bunch of pieces that, oh, there's some 400. Okay. Okay, we got us some 400. I'm gonna get some gloves. Three spikes. Welcome to the chat. Finger shaping. Yeah, the silver's definitely got like a texture going on. The chunky stuff is pretty chunky feeling. The other thing is I was getting a lot of chatter back here, so it feels that's compounding the smoothness of this blank, which also makes me feel like I really need to go drop down and like do some shaping, smoothing with with the sandpaper. Because no matter what I did, it was just chattering so much that I could not get a smooth cut on the back end here. Well, the middle mainly, I guess. This is going to be a crazy looking pen though, I'll tell you that. Looking at this shape, I think I might actually, I was going to lop it off, you know, like, because like right here is the end of like where I wanted to kind of cut it. Although that looks pretty good too, flat. I don't know, I was gonna actually cut it down here where it flares out, after it flares out, but actually looking at it, I think I like the flat better. It'd be a little bit weird having that. Although you could stand it up on your desk, that's kind of cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Flat or fishtail? Definitely feeling smoother down here, so I'm pulling out those ridges and stuff from the chatter. I'm probably good at this point. Chris wants the fishtail. All right, I think I've sanded the heck out of this thing. So let's do some side-to-side action. One thing that you might notice is, like, especially like just compared to a normal resin blank, this stuff is probably gonna feel a little bit weird, maybe even like be a bit abrasive on your sandpaper. Like, you may go through more sandpaper, basically. Possibly, I'm not sure, but that may be something that you might notice. Like, when you're done sanding this, you may say, I think I'll chuck this and get another piece for the next pen, you know. Feels a little, I'm gonna wipe that off because there's probably particles. All right, so now we're on to the 600. That's going a little too fast for me. Yeah, I like, I don't know. I like playing around with weird designs too. I've actually already done something like that. We did that on one of the custom fountain pens. It was cool. I don't know. I don't think I'd make that a standing design feature on most of my pens, but it's kind of cool looking. I think for this one, it kind of looks, I don't know, mermaidy, sort of. I don't know. The colors seem to work with this shape a little bit more than that other one that I did. All right, I think call that good. Do a little side-to-side action. Get on this end here. Start putting shapes on things like curves, and the sanding becomes more difficult. I think one little flare, that's not really going to affect the CA finish particularly much. It's when you got a bunch of like coves and, you know, what's the opposite of a cove? You know, like the ball and then cove dips and stuff. And you got a bunch of things going on. Like the CA finish just becomes kind of tough. You're probably better, like my method of doing it is not going to work too well. That's a case where you might want to pull out that medium, the thicker stuff, get rid of the paper towel, and just use your glove to spread it out and try and get it even. The thicker ones usually have a longer working time, so the CA won't set up as quick. So that might be a strategy if you're doing those types of things. I don't know. Let me know if you guys, I don't do a lot of that, but that seems to make more sense to me anyway. Yeah, when you turn that, let me send a picture if you can. Just shoot me an email. Zach@resinworksstudio.com. There's a contact form thing on my website too, if you forget. Or, you know, on Instagram, you don't have to like send me a picture. Just you can tag me if you're on. I'm pretty sure I think I just followed you on Instagram. I found you. I always love seeing, you know, because I can make whatever on the stream, but I'm kind of the crash test dummy. Like, okay, here's what not to do. A lot of times, then you guys can kind of not make the same mistakes and do something a little different. It's kind of cool. spending a little bit more time on this because, like I said, when I have to drop down, more chance for, and I'm not stopping to like inspect this, you know, I'd rather just give it a little bit more time under the sandpaper. But I had a lot of roughness, and you know, I sanded a lot with that 400, so I'm spending a little bit more time than I probably would, definitely more than I normally would on a normal pen blank. I think that's good. A little bit of this. So I got two ways of looking at this. I think it might be best to do the gluing in before I put the CA finish on, and then just do the whole CA finish with it glued on. It's probably the game plan, but I'm gonna finish sanding before I cut off the end. Like I said, one way you could approach this if you didn't have the, you know, the right tools. I don't need this. Why do I have this thing on? Dust collector off. We're not collecting dust or mosquitoes. Doing a little bit of hand sanding and shaping, you know, is not a terrible way to go. Now I remember that's what I ended up doing. And it's fine, you know, cut it off and then just kind of do a little bit of hand work on the end. It's not that, it doesn't take that long. Especially if you make it, you know, the smaller you can make that end, the less work you really have to do by hand. But it works fine, you can do it. You may have a little trouble getting like a CA, you may have to just kind of apply CA by hand and just kind of blend it in a little bit. You could maybe put the CA finish on almost all the way to the end. And then just kind of add a little bit more and hand polish it out. It's not great, but it's doable. I can't wait to see how this thing blings up when we get finished on it. It's going to be sweet. I'm really interested to see, show the different size particles. This is a really cool pen to, you know, really see the difference between all those different sizes, because it really does make a difference. I mean, the .015, the silver stuff is huge. Like, it's chunky. Okay. I mean, it already looks good just wet. Like, it's already shimmering and doing all that cool stuff. Just with a little bit of water on it. I think I'm going to chuck all these sandpapers. I got more. I will have to bring that back, but I'll use fresh sandpaper when we do the finish. All right, so I'm gonna wipe my hands off, wipe the blank off. I mean, even without polish or anything, this isn't half bad. Clear coat or anything on it. Let's try and get a good angle on it. I don't know. I don't even think the camera's picking it up as well. It's not terrible, you know, like it's still got a lot of life, but it's dull, kind of. But you can definitely, you know, these really small ones, I mean, it is really more like a metallic paint. But, you know, then you jump up to the .08, which is the teal and the brown, and it's still kind of, it's in the middle, right? It doesn't just look like glitter, but it definitely has that kind of glitter feel to it more. And then the .015, I mean, it is just chonk. It just looks like a glitter party. That's pretty sweet. I like it. All right, so let's see here. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna turn this thing off. I don't know, did anybody else have any? Yeah, 80 degree. Mike's got a question. Is the ink going to fit if you glue that piece in? The ink. Oh. Hmm. 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 That's a good question. Hmm. Frankly, I don't even know how this ink like works. All right, so that's a really good question, Mike. we might have had a pen that didn't that we couldn't use. There are ways around that. There are shorter inks and stuff that I could finagle. Let me see if I can kind of tell. So that just kind of sits there. Yeah, that's not going to fit. Okay, so I want to show you guys how this works. I got to turn my camera back on. The only thing about this system, it was really cheap and it works fine. But when I switch to the lathe cam, this one turns off. So you had to glue in. That's the other reason why I'm guessing why you need to glue in. There's like a little metal disc that you have to not glue in, but press into the tube. And that's it. Just I'm guessing it just sits there. And then this is my tip. I mean, it's almost too long as it is. Huh. I don't love this kit, personally. I might have taken a little bit of extra material off when I was squaring it up. Because this thing's actually, if you push it all the way down, I mean, it's kind of sticking out pretty far. Huh. So yeah, no, I don't think we can do that. Okay. Let's see here. So how does this? I think we're gonna have to do we're gonna have to do the hand thing. And that works, like I said, that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Let me just make sure this thing is. So I'm just gonna cut it off straight because I don't think nobody else. Let me just double check and see. Graffiti blank. Yeah, the different. Yeah, that's true. The different sizes together is interesting. We did. Let's see. Did we we didn't swirl it? I don't think. The other thing, so at the beginning, I was saying that you can probably get away with I put a lot of stuff in. Like this was a ton of metal flake, and you can probably tell. Yeah, one thing I didn't really do was like really inspect the other one to see like is there any area where you can see the tube, and like maybe down at the end I can maybe sort of tell that it does go all the way through, but I mean it's opaque. Like and this one's got even more material because it's fatter. The thinner you go, the more chance, but I don't think there's any areas. So definitely the amount that I used, if you want to go for totally opaque, you're good. But I was saying that I think you could probably have that and it'd be all right. Now you may see the tube and you could go even less. But my point is the less that you put in, the thinner it's going to be, and you can get a little bit more kind of swirling going on. because I'm pretty sure we didn't like use a stick or anything like that. We just tried to kind of pour, you know, whatever, and it's a little bit chunky, right? Where if you did it a little bit thinner amount and maybe even uses, you know, like a stir stick or something like that, if you stirred it up a little bit, you'd get a little bit more of that kind of interest in the blank, that kind of depth, and things are kind of going in and out of each other. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hand sand the end of that thing. I don't see anybody else saying anything about the shape, so let's go for the fishtail thing. Probably just going to come in. So my center drill has this little tip on it, so I've got to account for, you know, some amount. Like there's going to be a little hole at the end, so probably going to come in like right about here and lop it off. Now the problem is nothing's holding this, so the minute I get rid of the tailstock, nothing's driving spinning the blank. So I'm going to have to just kind of sand it at a certain point and probably kind of saw it off. But I'll try and get as close as I can. I can probably get in almost all the way to lop it off. But this is definitely, we're entering hack territory at this point, guys. This is hack territory. Hopefully I was on camera for that. I'll lop it off right there. All right, now the other thing that I want to mention, I've got both detailers. All right, this one's the yellow handle, this one's the bigger one. They're both negative, but this one's kind of a wider triangle. This one's got a pretty sharp point. So I like using this one if I'm trying to part something off. This one's a little better if you need to just dig in and take off a lot of material. So I'll probably start with this guy, but I'm going to end with this because there's less resistance and it can kind of get in there to a sharper point and get me kind of flat. All right, so we'll do a couple different ones. You could just use a parting tool or something. I got an 1/8 inch parting tool that would work too, but I kind of like these little detailer guys. So I want it to be kind of flat because I want it to be able to stand up on the table. So I'm going to kind of come in with this angle going in kind of straight. Now, the blank ain't gonna fly off at me if I part all the way through. I mean, the little bit might kind of go crazy, but all right, we're getting pretty wiggly. So I'm going to switch over to the little guy. The thing is barely even doing anything at this point. Huh. Somehow it's still spinning it. Look at that. Huh. Okay. Well, let's try and sand it. It's probably going to stop the minute I put any pressure on it, but I don't know, it's still spinning. Whatever. Try and sand it a little bit. All right. Oh, the camera was not the right camera. I was focused, guys. Sorry. Well, it's done. Okay, so good narration. I got both the guys. Sorry about that. So there's two different ones, CI4 and CI whatever 7. So what I did was I just came in and, you know, with the yellow guy, but it's a pretty fat blade, you know, diamond. This thing's got a really sharp point. So once I got it really far down, I just came in here and lopped it off, and everything's still spinning. So I don't know. I don't know. I need another piece. I don't think I need 400 on this one, but I do need another. I threw away my 6. All the other ones. Okay. So let's see if I can do any sanding on this thing. I don't know how it's still spinning. Oh, look at that. Okay. Well, this isn't the way it should work, but it is. Oh, dang it. That thing's not. It's not flat. I was trying to come in at it like an angle, but the center, that little nub is still sticking out. I'm going to push my luck. Since it's still somehow spinning on its own, I'm going to come back in with that yellow tool. Wipe my hands off and see if I can get that little, there's like a little button in there right in the center. And like I said, this thing's not going to like come off. I mean, it would have to come all the way down. And I'm pushing into it, so that's maybe part of the reason why I'm able to do this. I just figure if we're going to make the thing flat on the end and wider, I'd prefer it to be able to actually be flat and stand up, you know? Come on. It's a Christmas miracle. Still wobbly. All right, there we go. Well, I don't know how, but somehow that mandrel's still driving this thing, so I think we're going to be able to get sanding done on it. Oh, that's going way too fast. Trying to get the edge to not be like sharp. There we go. Oh, don't push too hard. All right. Worst case scenario, you can just hand sand this whole thing. Like if it wasn't wanting to spin, wouldn't really be that big of a deal. But it is spinning. I don't know how. Oh yeah, use the radius, and I see what you're saying. Push towards the... That would work. I never tried that. Well, I was kind of... I guess I was kind of doing that. I was doing that at the beginning, but then at the end of it, mainly I just had a kind of a nub, and I couldn't do much. I don't know. I didn't do very well at the end. Okay, that's probably pretty good. I always find like the end is always easier to polish. Getting CA on this end is going to be a little bit more tricky to get it all blended easy, but it should be all right. Getting a little wobbly. Now, I'll tell you guys, one thing that's going to be a problem. This thing's like wobbling around. That is not what you want for a CA finish. So, just going to let you know. I'm not sure that the CA finish is going to be super spectacular on this thing. But hopefully it'll be all right. Now, this would be a pretty good thing to just like spray finish, put some lacquer on top. You could, you know, spin it slow and just spray it. That would probably be the easiest way to deal with this type of thing. But we'll try a CA finish. We'll see what we can do. Why not? May not be perfect, but let's see here. I gotta put my things there. Okay, and I got that. Okay. All right, so let's go for, so we're going to start off again. I like to, especially with this one, with this chonky, technically there shouldn't really be any like holes or anything like that, but one thing that can happen with glitter blanks is if you've got a little glitter piece sitting on the top and you're like sanding or doing something, you can rip off like little, you know, and these little glitter things are tiny, so, but you may have like these little pits basically. And especially where the chonky stuff is, you may have kind of a big thing may kind of rip out, let's say. So I'm going to put a couple, maybe 3 layers of this thin stuff on just to kind of, like I said, set down in there and just get things locked in, give me a good base for the medium. It doesn't really fill in a whole lot, but it will get into little cracks and crevices like the super thin stuff a little bit better than the medium, or, you know, even technically even like the thin flex from Mercury is like thicker than, you know, super fast thin or whatever from Starbond, or even this stuff's pretty thin too. So let's see, I lost all of my pieces. So again, I got a little blue towel and I just fold it over a couple, 3 times. Got the lathe going like pretty slow, 5 or 600. I'm just gonna flood this and do like that. I'm putting a very thin amount on. Like the paper towel soaks up most of this super thin stuff. And then, again, with this Instaflex stuff, you always want to use this spray. Let's see, where's my scissor? And then I just cut off my little paper towel piece with scissors. Then we come back for second round. It's a little, this thing kind of spinning around on me. Probably should have done the CA finish. I didn't think about this. I should have finished it. I thought we were going to glue in the thing and do all this different stuff. So, you know, I didn't know we were doing this. But it would have been better to hold on to this thing. And I could maybe, you know, one thing I could do, you don't have to use a point. So let's see, one thing I could do to get a little bit of pressure on this thing. I don't think I have one. Actually, yeah, I do. So I got these things. Anybody know what a rubber chucky is? You guys ever heard of a rubber chucky? I got these things called rubber chuckies, and they are pretty interesting. So it's just this little rubber thing. I don't know if this business is still in business or not, but you can put it, you can spin it onto your live, well, yeah, so this is the Easy Wood Tools, like, I don't know, Live Center, I guess they call it. So you can put the rubber chucky on those. And you don't need to do this. If you had a Live Center with the threads, you could like make something out of wood or whatever. You could do something similar. And basically, we can get a little bit of tailstock pressure on this thing without screwing it up. All right. So I don't know. Anybody heard of the rubber chucky? Pretty neat little doohickey. They got all kinds of different sizes. They got flat ones, they got cone ones, got all kinds of things. But like I said, I'm not entirely certain if they're still in business or not. Okay, so let's do this again. Now I'm not going to get the end of it, obviously. But I'm less worried about the end. That's pretty easy just to add a little bit of gloss at the end. All right, so let's switch over to the medium version of this stuff. Like I said, again, you could probably just skip this. I don't know what it's doing exactly. My theory is it's so thin that if there's any like really small little cracks, it tends to want to go into those things a little bit better than your thicker glues. Either way, it's given me a little bit of a base. To you know, put this medium stuff on. And it's not, the medium stuff is not thick either. It's pretty, it's very similar to the thin from Mercury that I used to use. Yeah, I'm going to get some new paper towels. Like I said, I'm not necessarily advocating for this method of applying a CA finish. It's kind of a weird one. The paper towel absorbs a lot of the CA glue, right? So it's kind of an odd thing. It's just, it works for me. And I'm going to put on, you know, on this one I might go a little bit more, like 7 to 10. Ooh, that one kind of got sticky there. like 7 to 10 coats. With the shape of this and everything, a couple extra coats so I don't sand through. Plus, this thing is not exactly, I don't know how, I mean, it looks like it's wobbling to me. And if your blank is wobbling and you're trying to apply a CA finish, then you start sanding it, what ends up happening is it's moving like this, and you're going to sand through like one little spot on the blank. And my first lathe that I used was a Shopsmith, and the tailstock was terrible on this thing. And I mean, it just wobbled. So like, I'm trying to turn pens, and the pen's basically wobbling. The mandrel also was out of whack. It was a nightmare, and I always would sand through like this little spot, and I was like, what is going on? And it's because it's not running true. All right, so let me stop real quick. When you CA the blank to the bushing, it should be golden. Yeah, that's true. That's true. This one's a lot longer also. One thing that I'm finding is that I'm getting a kind of a dry spot. Like I need to put more CA glue on to get this method to work. It definitely works best on shorter, like your standard kind of typical pen blanks. Things get a little bit more out of control. The bigger it gets when you start getting bumps and things or shapes in the blank. And if you don't get it on nice and smooth, then you got a lot of sanding to do. Let me look at this thing. Yeah, we're getting some coats on. Okay, so I still don't feel like there's enough on this thing. I don't know how many coats I've done at this point, but I think I'm going to use Chris's logic, get rid of the rubber tailstock support, and I'm going to start putting on some coats on the bottom. Because like you said, it probably is stuck at this point. Maybe not. It's definitely rattling around. Might be stuck at the tip there, but it's kind of chattering around on the back end. I'm going to do one more on the bottom and I'm done. It's probably enough. I'm just going to go very easy on the polishing. All right. I'm going to do a couple more coats, and I think we're going to call it a day on this guy. Do some polishing up. So, like I said, it is probably stuck on this side, but this side is not like fully, there's a little bit of play. So I'm probably going to, when I do the polishing and sanding and stuff, I'm probably going to bring up the rubber chucky just to stabilize it a little bit more. I didn't get that coat on very well, so I'm going to do one more. I always like to end with a pretty smooth application, so I can reduce the amount of sanding I have to do. If I can get it on as smooth as possible, hopefully I will have less ridges to sand out, basically. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and show you guys what's going on. Is that focused? I think so. Yeah, that's looking good. See, like I said, it looked okay before, but man, now it's, and we haven't even gotten it polished. There's little ridges and lines going on. I really like the .004. It really just, you don't really see these big chunks. It looks more just like a metallic paint to me. But I do like the chonky, I mean, I like them both. And the medium is like a happy medium. Like the .008 is like, kind of looks like metallic paint, but it definitely has a glitter to it, More. I mean, even the small stuff, it's glittery, but so I'm gonna come to the side a little bit more so you can kind of see the profile of this thing. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I did it. Yeah. Oh, I got a big CA glob right there. Dang it. Big ridge. I could like almost take a tool to that. Jeez. Yeah, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun. That's the other thing, is the bushing's not stuck to the thing. So we're gonna use table stock and get this thing. Yeah, it's definitely wobbly, especially at the end. Let's see if I can. Oh, I think I just made it worse. Oh, that's not too bad. It's pretty wobbly. Well, we'll see how this goes. This may not be the greatest. Okay, so back to the sandpaper. We're going to start with the green. I'm going to be very careful. Try and just get this kind of smoothed out. There's a big, there's a big lump right in the middle though. Whew, that's pretty bad. A big ridge right there. It's coming out, I think. Yeah, that's not good. Very ridgy. Let's see what we can do here. Not loving it. But I think we can get it pretty well. Worst case scenario, I can always just stick it back on here if I really feel like I need to. Try it again. But I think unless I really sand the heck out of this thing, pretty much probably take most of it off again, that ridge is not going out. So we're just gonna push through and see what it's just gonna look funky where that ridge is, but it's not gonna affect the overall thing. I wouldn't sell this with with that in it. I don't think I'd even give it away, but we can see what we got going on here. Now, one thing, if you do have something weird like that and you're like, yeah, I might have to come back and put like, you know, do another CA finish on it, I would not recommend, even though it's water-based, I would not recommend going through magic juice like I'm going to do and then going back after that and trying to put CA finish back on, like more. You know, especially like something like a Yorkshire grit, that's got like oil in it. Your CA is not going to stick to it. So if you need to make repairs or anything like that, you know, don't put any other stuff on it. Get the repair done, put more CA on or whatever, and then do something that may need, you know, that's add anything that's got something different in it for your final stuff, or even buffing. None of that stuff. It's all going to cause an issue with the bond. Oh, I should not have used 600 grit. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, that way you don't have any weird bond issues with your CA glue. Okay. I think that's good. We'll just do our polish. Again, I'm going to keep the tailstock support up when I'm doing the main body of the polish, and then I can just kind of do the end there kind of quick afterwards. Make sure this thing's dry. Oops, back on the camera. I don't really care if it's wobbling for the polish. That's not going to really affect anything. Okay, so magic juice. The juice is loose. Go get some more paper towels. All right, it was a long one today, but we made it. At least I got the right camera going. That's all that matters, right? Okay, so we're going to crank up the speed a little bit. Get this thing covered. This time I'm going to remember to use my rag. Do a little wipey. Oh, that's looking good. Wish there wasn't a ridge in the finish, but it's like right there. I can see it. Oh well. We're gonna push forward. Step 2. It's getting even better. So out of anything that you may put on the surface, this magic juice is probably not that big of a deal, easy to get off. If you need to go back and put, finish on or something like that, probably just hit it with denatured alcohol, and then probably sand it back. You don't want to be trying to put CA finish on a super glossy surface. So that's what I'll be doing, because I want to fix that ridge. I don't like that. It's kind of yucky. Not coming out. There we go. Okay. So I'd probably want to take this down to like 1,000 grit, something like that. I can just hit it with like the green and green and gray. Thing is, I got to take that thing out. So, I may actually have to go down to like a 600 for a little bit, and then get rid of that ridge, and then go back up to the gray Zona paper, and then redo everything. But as long as I don't take off all the CA finish, I don't necessarily need to do the whole thing. I just need to get a good pass on it. I being so long, I probably lifted my finger a little bit. I wasn't pressing as hard. I'm putting a very thin coat on usually. Not pressing very hard, just barely, and trying to follow the line with my method of putting on the CA finish. So I'm putting on a pretty thin coat, but it doesn't leave a bunch of ridges and stuff. But in this case, I don't think I did it very well. All right, so let's see here. I got to get my little microfiber things. Oh yeah, definitely do the fishtail on your next kit list. I'd love to see it. I kind of got that idea from, shoot, I forget who it was now. Somebody that's like pretty embedded in the custom fountain pen making world. Dang it. It was, I can't remember who it was. Somebody else is kind of making that design in the fountain pen things. And I was like, that's cool, I want to try it, but I don't really want to copy, but it really caught my eye, like that idea. I can't think of who it is though. Somebody that I follow on Instagram. gave me that idea. All right, so we got that one. A little wipey. Running out of clean spots on my rag here. Oh man, that thing is just bling. All right, last step. Whew. Last step, guys. Well, I got to do the end also. Whew, man, that thing looks, even just spinning on the lathe, it looks good. Oh man, that's cool. Can you guys see that? Wow. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any tube even at this end, really. I don't think there's any tube showing through. So that amount should get you, you know, pretty much opaque. But I do think it would be possible to use less. Part of it is you're just wasting material, right? Like if you don't need to use as much to get the same result, then don't use as much. However, it also can affect the viscosity of it when you're pouring, and there's other little factors to think about with how much you put in there, and the transparency. You know, transparency plus, you know, other factors. But I think, like, I really want to try the next, because I'm going to make more of these. Obviously, I think these are worthy of going in the Pen Blank Club box. So we're going to start with one on the end here. Doesn't take that much. All that good. But I do think I'm going to try to reduce it a little bit and see what happens. If it turns out yucky, I'm not, because I'm going to actually turn one before I send them out. If it's no-go, then I'll go back up to the full amount and let you guys know about that. But if I can drop it down to, you know, oh, that was way too much. It's just a little end piece. Just need a little drip. Anyway, if I can get away with less and get like slightly different results, I'll share that with you guys. Share the numbers that I used. May require, you know, like I said, the trade-off may be that, you know, you pretty much have to go for painting the tube. But if that's the case, I'll let everybody know. Or scrap them and do something, you know, go back to the original amount. So which one do you guys like better? Do you have a preference on the Iron Man versus the, I don't know, I'm going to call it kind of peacock, mermaid, whatever? 6-inch long. They're only 5.5. Unfortunately, the P-Town subby molds only go to. Actually, they're not even 5.5. They're 5. The P-Town subby molds are 5.25. All right, so 5 and 6. I'm just going to use paper towel. I don't want to waste another one of those things. I think it's going to be fine. %, the peacock looking one. That's cool. Oh, I would probably agree. I don't know, man. The red and gold looks pretty good. But I've got a little bit more stake in that one because, you know, like I said, the impetus for doing that one was I had more like I'm trying to go for something personally. Even though I don't really care about Iron Man, or, you know, it's not like a personal thing like I needed to do that, but I was just trying to get that look, and so I kind of like that one too. But I think if you just said which one do I like better, I think I like this one overall. It's more interesting. You got different things going on. Oh, one thing I didn't think about, I gotta make sure I have enough metal flake. Shoot. Ah. Okay, good enough. Let's call it a day. Gotta find a clean looking spot on my rag here. Now again, you don't want to be using this rag with the thing spinning and doing that. Now it's been kind of sort of spinning, but you know, that's maybe not the smartest thing to do, but I didn't feel like I was in danger with the thing slowing down on the end there with a tiny piece. But just be careful if you're using a rag with a spinny lathe. Okay, so one thing that's going to be a little bit harder. Oh, huh. I'm going to have to figure out a way to break this thing loose. Yeah, I can't go that way either. All right, so let's see here. Guess I can probably. So I glued the bushing on, right? That's my thing. I didn't think about the fact that I can't get my blank off the off the thing. So we're gonna try my normal method, but I may have to break out the jaws of life or something. I don't know, because I did put more stuff on. So let's see here. Let's see if I can do this. I like using this because it doesn't. I'm trying to find a spot that I don't mind smacking. It's hard because I'm trying to hit the bushing, but not anything else. Part of the problem is the bushing doesn't really, because it's on this mandrel. Maybe if I pull this thing all the way down, just hit the mandrel. Oof. thing seems very stuck. I may have to cut it. Okay, I don't think that's working. I don't know if you guys can even see what I'm doing here. Let's see here. So worst case scenario, I have to just put it back on the lathe and like, basically cut it. Okay, fine then. So if this happens to you, this is what you do. So I'm going to bring this thing back up again. Where'd my knob go? I lost my knob. This thing always falls off. I'm going to bring that up and I'm going to try and get the camera in very carefully. I'd have pretty good eyesight and steady hands. Otherwise you end up cutting into something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my skew chisel. I could maybe use that negative or that whatchamacallit tool. But I like having just a sharp knife. So I usually just use my skew chisel for this. And what I'm going to do is just very carefully score this thing. Just barely tapped it. Let's see if that was good enough. I don't think it went all the way through. This is just a mess of a project, guys. Okay, now let's see. Good Lord. Okay. Really doesn't seem like there could possibly be glue still. Let me look at this thing close up. We're having fun, aren't we? Everybody having fun? All right, let's see. Maybe I'm missing. Yeah, okay, I'm a little bit off. Okay. Sometimes you need to pull out the magnifying lenses and do surgery on this thing. Let me put this thing back together. I was being pretty careful trying to stay away from the blank. You don't want to cut into the blank too much. But I got magnifiers on now, so. Hopefully that did it. Ah, I did it. I knew it would do it. Okay, so let me look at this thing and make sure I didn't jack it up too much. So in this case, I can't get this over my that mandrel that I use, you know. So I'm going to have to do it a different way. And there, I'm looking at this thing under the magnifier. There is definitely a lip that I left. So if I don't think you guys can see this lip. I don't know. I'm gonna stop wiggling. Maybe you can. Come on, focus. You guys see that lip? I don't know if you can see it, but there's a lip of CA. If I tried to press on the part onto that thing, it would totally jack up the finish. Now, in this case, well, the finish actually doesn't look that bad. There is a bit of a ridge, but my glasses are not working. There we go. It's not terrible. I don't think that I would actually go back and fix this. There's a little bit of a bumpiness, but anyway. So what I'm going to do is I got to give me a piece of 220. I want a piece of 220 grit. Where is it? 400. Could maybe use 400. 180 is a little bit too rough. I don't want that. 220 is a good happy medium. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the lathe bed. Can you guys let me zoom out. I'm going to use the lathe bed. It's dead flat. So you want to try and, you know, pull this thing flat onto your flat surface. You could use like a table saw or bandsaw table, and then just try to keep this thing square to the table and turn it. Probably best if you have little magnifying lenses to kind of see what's going on with this. But this is probably going to be the easiest way. You want to be a little bit careful, not press like really hard on it, because that also could crack your finish. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing here. Ow. Oh. Oh. Ow. That hurt. Smack my shin. Man, these glasses are... Okay, stop. Okay. Can you see? I don't know what's happening. There we go. You can see. I'm just kind of lightly, I'm not pressing hard. I just want to take off that edge. And then let me get my... So I got these little magnifying things. That way I can see what's going on. I feel like one of my eyes is not working. That's pretty good. Now I've gotten rid of that lip, so I'm going to try and push a little harder so that it's flat and just wiggle it a little bit. Now, one other thing you could do if you want is grab something like 1000 grit, you know, something pretty high grit. Do I have any 1000? I don't really have a piece of 1000, but you do want like pretty high. This is reasonable. It's also fuzzy backed. You can also kind of round it over just a little bit with like I said, I would go with 1000 grit just to kind of break that edge so it's not sharp. That's up to you if you want to do that. But overall, we got this thing done, and like I said, the finish is definitely not perfect. There's a couple ridges in it, but I don't think it's not really visible. It's feelable. Let's get the camera back on this side. I'm not going to walk over there and smack my leg again. Okay. Okay. Whew. It's getting crazy, guys. It is lunchtime. It is beyond lunchtime. I don't think my eyes are working, I'm telling you. There we go. Oh man, look at that. That is so cool looking. And again, I'm not, I'd be interested to see on the replay if the colors and everything, if the look is really coming through. But man, in person, this thing is just wicked. We got the bottom, it's looking fine, I think. Yeah, pretty good. The middle's a little bit funky, but it's definitely not a perfect pen. All right, let's go put it together. Whew. Oh man. Switch to the other overhead. All right, so we got 2 of them. Let's do this. Oh, and by the way, I finally got my order in at Turner's Warehouse, so I'll have the Miles Craft press soon. Very excited about that. The pen press, the Miles Craft one. Okay, so let's do the gold one first. We got, here's the small end. That's the wrong, why isn't it on 1? There we go. Let's zoom in a little bit. Why not? Let's get this thing rolling here. Why is there a rubber band on this? Oh, I finally put a felt pad on this, guys. Finally did it now that I'm getting rid of this thing. All right, so this guy goes on this side. Oh, that's nice. It stays in place. Ooh. That's looking good. And then, okay, so this thing has like all kinds of parts going on. I don't know exactly what's happening here. I think this thing needs to go on top of that. Yes. So I'm just going to put those over each other, and I think that I'm going to press it all together all at once. Guess, I don't know. I hope I did that right. Seems right. And then this thing, I think you can, well, yeah, you can just press that on by hand. Oh shoot, I think I screwed up. I think the clip goes down there. Maybe not. Let's see. Oh, no. I don't know what's happening. I think the clip? No. Yeah, it might have gone down there. Well, we're going to go clipless. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that looks weird. Yeah, I'm guessing that, yeah, this thing has to have gone on like that. Ugh. I don't know if I can get this off now. That's what I get for rushing. All right. Yeah, these are the same size. Yeah, I think I might be able to get this off. Ah, got it. Okay, so this thing goes on here first. Then you press the whole thing on. Huh? Okay. We're figuring this thing out as we go. Let me look at this and see. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if it's Iron Man. I'm gonna be honest. Not sure that we captured that exactly. I think I'm gonna go right there. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So put the nib back in, and where's the ink? I got 2 pens, 1 ink. What's happening here? Well, I think I have another pen kit somewhere in here. Glacia. And it's just a normal Parker. We'll just steal it from another kit. Eventually I'll have to replace that. Okay. Let's see how we did. So we'll drop let's see, we get our spring. Drop that guy in there. Might be easier to do this the other way, but. Oh! That's not bad. What do you guys think of that little guy? It's kind of Iron Man-ish, sort of. Not a bad pen. Looks pretty good. I think it would definitely be a good 49er fan pen. But look at that bling. I mean, whew. Pretty sweet, pretty sweet. All right, so let's, yes, it says, stay home tonight. You know, yeah, things aren't going perfect, but it's cool. Really, what I need to do is just plan ahead a little bit and read the directions. Okay, so we got that one done. Let's see what we got for this other guy. So again, the Stark kit, the way this works, I've got, this is the little thing, the doodad, the nib part, and it goes into this is like a cap for the pen. And then this is the only thing I think I have to press in. I'm wondering if I can, yeah, I think the best thing to do is to put it all on and then press the whole thing. I don't know. My theory is that will kind of help protect the threads. I may be backwards on that, I don't know, but I think this will work. Oh. Well, if I do this, then I can stick the nib into the thing like that, and that's just fine. There we go. Ooh. And I guess, so then you just, to fill, we got our ink right here. Let's take the little thing off. So you just drop that guy in, and like I said, it just hits the bottom, I guess. And then, but like I said, I think I might have cut this blank a little bit kind of funky. Pretty long. Definitely not the most awesome pen I've ever made. Maybe that's where it's supposed to go. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, I guess. Big question is, does it fit in the cap? Because if it's way too far, oh, it fits fine. So there it is. That's kind of an interesting pen. Stark. And it stands up. Well, not on a wobbly table. It stands up fine on a flat table. Here we go. Stands up fine right there. Look at that. That's kind of cool. I don't know. Like I said, I might give this to somebody. But I don't know if you can see. There's ridges there. Let's see here. Can I capture that on the camera? It's not super noticeable. Actually, I lost it again. There's a ridge right here. Yeah, I mean, you can't, it's hard to see. You can feel it though. But like whatever, it's not that big of a deal. I may have, like I said, I think I might have taken a little bit off when I was squaring this up. It's just a little bit longer than I think it probably is supposed to be. But I don't know, it's fine. It's cool, it ain't perfect. I like that one a lot, that red one. All right, guys, let's see. I'm going to end this poll. Elegant, yeah, elegant. Yeah, this was a pretty good choice for this blank, for sure. Like I said, that was a little bit rough. This kit, you know, I mean, really, for the amount of messing around and stuff, if I would have had the little bladder thing, it would have been better. But I mean, frankly, if I had and I have the tools to do it, if I had the choice, I would much rather just make a custom fountain pen out of, you know, rather than mess with this kit, this closed end stuff. I'd rather just do a custom pen. But, you know, if I didn't have the tools and everything set up to do that, then obviously I'm not going to do that. But not too bad though. I liked it. Wow, that's weird. I'm still turning on that other thing. So anyway, let's see here. Yeah, it stands up. I mean, you don't need to, you know, you don't need a roll stop. One thing that is, you know, kind of weird, it has no clip or anything. It's kind of a weird pen kit. You could add a little roll stop of some sort. You can just like glue in like a pin or something. Do I have any? I don't think I have any. I did that on a, you know, because like when you have custom pens, if you don't know how to do the clip, I don't have any. I think I've only done. I sold or gave away the other ones that I did, but you can just like literally buy like pins or like earrings. There's all kinds of different things. Anything that's a thing that's got like a little stud sticking out of it, you can just buy those, drill a little hole in your blank, and then glue it in, CA glue it in, and then you can have like a roll stop. It's, you know, something, a bump. It'd be a little weird. I don't know. This pen is kind of weird. Like it'd almost have to be like in the middle of it, which is kind of odd. So this shaping is not the greatest for that kind of thing, but it's pretty simple to add like a little roll stop of some sort on a pen, especially for the customs. It makes it easier. You can do it. I do it on the cap. So not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah. So Metall Flake, guys. Hopefully you guys will try it out. Like I said, there's I need to. Well, I don't have the link off the top of my head right here, but there's a link in the other video to the Custom Shop brand on Amazon, and there's also another brand. I think depending on like how much you buy, pretty sure there's this company called Did Spade. I think it's the same exact stuff, but I think the Did Spade stuff, for how much you're getting, it was more expensive. So I think the Custom Shop is the easiest way. It was pretty cheap. Like I want to say it was like a 4-ounce bag. How much was in here? Yeah, 4-ounce bag was like $17. I mean, I got to be honest, it's kind of expensive, but you can make quite a few with like 4 ounces of this stuff. You can make quite a few pens. So yeah, like I said, not cheap, but it adds something a little bit different. And you know, you could do, you know, I still say like most of the glitters, like if you go to Glitter Hippo, I think most of your glitters are going to be a little bit different product. It's just slightly different type of thing. Like this is kind of unique, but basically it's glitter, you know, kind of thing. So what I like is you can get very specific sizes and know exactly what you're getting, lots of different colors. But, you know, there are many more options if you just look for like glitter specifically. Go to Glitter Hippo and you'll be like, oh my God, I don't know where to start. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, I'll be putting together, I might do a little quick experiment to kind of play around with how much metal flake I put in there. I don't know. The nice thing is I know that this is definitely, the problem is I'd have to fully, you know, tube and glue, you know, glue in a tube and like fully turn a pen to see if adding less is going to be a problem. So I don't know. I may just stick with this for the boxes and then do something different down the road. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Hopefully you do a little bit of barbecuing, and you know, always thank you to all the folks who have lost their lives protecting and keeping our freedom. So always kind of remember that. But you know, while you're doing the weekend, hopefully you guys will have a good weekend. And we'll be back next week doing something new. I think what we're going to do is mini pine cones. That's been on my list for a little while now. So I think I'll get those things prepped, and we'll probably do some mini pine cone blanks, which you can, the sky's the limit on those things. It's great. We can maybe do a couple different types too, because you can do those vertically if you want. You can also do them horizontally. Either way, it works depending on what size pine cones and everything you got. So anyway, thanks for joining the fun today, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.